everybody. Coming to you at night this time instead of in the morning. Coconut is being weird over there. Oh my goodness, she's trying to get into the bird bath. Anyway, yeah, there she is. She's trying to get into the bird bath. What she's doing, I don't know, but anyway. Yeah, just been busy doing some stuff this morning, so I'm coming to you in the evening. Super hot. It was another 104 kind of a day. I don't know what she's doing. Oh, she wants some water. Oh my goodness. 104 day. Super hot. Just ready for the cool down. It's supposed to cool down next week back into normal temperatures, so I'm looking forward to that. Just this heat is not for me. I don't mind it warm, but when it's overly warm and just miserable hot, I don't like it. But yeah. But anyways, guys, I wanted to just say hello and just let you know that it is important, and it's just this message of grace and a message of salvation is so important right now. We are seeing the end of all things. Now, people want to say, oh, it's the end of the world. Well, the world is never going to end. It's just going to be refined. And we are at that right now. And I like what J.D. Farag said this past Sunday, that if we're already feeling the heat from the tribulation, that shows us how close to the tribulation we are. And it's so true, because everything has just amped up, not including evil, the evil of man and the hearts of man that have just become so wicked, and almost seemingly by the day, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And there is no political leader that's going to make things better. Even when we're gone, there's no political leader that's going to make things better. It's going to seem so in the beginning. It's going to seem that there's this tranquility and peace on earth that people have been so longing for, and those darn Christians have prevented that from happening. And now look, we've got our Green New Deal, we've got our climate change, we're back at it. We are going to save the planet, and it's just going to be seemingly to be this peaceful thing. And people are going to be aching for the truth, and they're aching, even now they're aching for somebody to come in and rescue us all and save us all. And we can see that just here in America alone, where people are they're aching for a man to come and rescue and change everything, bring change, bring everything back to normal, and make it good again. And we can see the heart of man when they when they do that, how badly they're aching for somebody to come and have all the answers and to bring peace to the Middle East. And that's one thing that, there was an article that came out last week, and those are the exact words that they said, that, is this the beginning of the peace to the Middle East? And I never thought I would see that, because, we see, I didn't even really want to call them cheesy rapture movies, because, though they're old, they're old 90s, even 70s rapture movies, it's funny to see that, those things are coming true, and in the exact way that they're showing it on those movies, and the wordings are being used the same, bringing peace to the Middle East. And that's exactly what people are wanting. They're wanting to bring some sort of normalization to the world. And they think that, it's just groaning. The world is groaning for its man, and they're going to get the desire of their heart. And, you know, people are being given over right now. They're being given over to the desires of their heart. And Jesus is no longer welcomed in any part of the world. Persecution is on the rise no matter where you are. And now it's even persecution for the color of your skin and for what you believe. And, you know, it's really tragic and it's sad. And unfortunately, there's churches, which we'll talk about that in another video in depth. But, you know, these churches have gone so south where, you know, instead of talking about sin and causing people to leave church different than how they came in, people who, let's say, not necessarily belong to the church, but they are coming off the street and they're new to the church, instead of them leaving comfortable and feeling like they are accepted, they aren't leaving with conviction in their heart and a knowledge of their sin and a knowledge of grace and a knowledge of salvation. They're leaving, you know, these churches are being so worldly that they're too afraid to make anybody feel bad. So they're conforming to the world and they're causing confusion, and they're, you know, I don't know the word, but I do, but it's gone from me. It went from my brain. They don't talk about sin, you know? So when you have people that might be in sin, living in sin, doing whatever, or coming in off the street, you know, a sinner, you know, they sit there for a feel-good message from a pastor that is just that's all they do, is they just give you a feel-good message. They don't tell you anything about anything. They don't tell you the truth. They add works to whatever they do tell you. You know, or you go to the church and it ends up being some kind of concert, or you get some fake setup with, you know, like these churches that are putting on these Super Mario Brother services or these Spider-Man services or gosh knows what else. You know, they're trying to fill the seats and fill their pockets is what they're doing. And so they think that, you know, by condoning sin and not talking about sin, that everything's fine. You're accepted here. And though church, you should be accepted where you go, you should also be, I don't know how to say it. Yes, you should be accepted in church. You come as you are. But you should leave feeling that the Holy Spirit tugging at your heart and convicting you of your sin and exposing your sin to yourself so that you can grow closer to Him and or accept Him as Savior. So, you know, that's in another message, or in another video. But, yeah, these people now, they're just, they don't want to hear about Jesus. I've seen so many people on the TikTok that are saying, there was one guy that dresses up as Jesus. He even has a crown of thorns. And I forget what he calls himself, but he calls himself Jesus. And he wants people to pay him. And he goes on live and he talks about, you know, and he's cussing up a storm and he's using F-bombs and he's just disgusting and vile. And you have others, you know, that are, say that they once were, but they're not anymore. They once were an evangelical. They once were this or that or whatever, and they're not anymore. Well, they never were to begin with. They had an experience, is what happened, and that experience faded away. Their fire faded away, and so did their faith, because they didn't have faith to begin with. They had an experience with a God that they were introduced to, possibly at a revival, or somebody told them something, and it felt good for the moment, and it's gone. They went out from us. They were not part of us. So there's a lot of people, a lot of mockery, a lot of confusion, a lot of things that Satan wants to convince people that he's not real, but he also wants to convince people that Jesus isn't real either. And that's the biggest lie that he has ever told people, is that he's not as bad as he is, or that he's not real, or heaven's not real. And I just feel bad for a lot of these people, that they have no idea what's coming. They have no idea what's headed their way. Some people know what's headed their way, and they would rather deal with that than go to heaven, which, you can't force anybody. God's not going to force anybody. He's not going to force himself on anyone. He presents the gospel. He allows opportunities for the gospel. He sends, in many different forms, in different ways, opportunities for people to get saved, and give them every opportunity that they can. And there's many that, and I was explaining this to my sons too, because, they don't quite understand why people don't accept Jesus. They think that, it's so simple. Why aren't they doing it? And I had to explain to them that there's a broad path, and people are just on this broad path, and they're just jumping off the cliff. I mean, they're just going. They don't want to hear it. They may know the truth. They may hear the truth. They have the experience. They know, and they fall off the cliff. And then there's this narrow path with very few people that find it. And, it's really sad, because we aren't promised our next breath. We don't know when something may happen and the end of your life has come. And now you're faced with the judgment that you put upon yourself. You willingly did that. And the people in hell, they're going to always remember the opportunities that were given to them, the conversations that have been had about Jesus. They're always going to remember their rejection of Jesus and things that they've said, and the people that tried to warn them, and they chose not to accept it, and they chose to reject the truth. And that is hell and torment just in itself right there. But, we see these things going on globally. We see everything that's going on all over the world. And you would think that it would wake some people up. And I know that there's some people that are lost, that I've seen some people that are in the world that are saying, hey, wait a minute. I remember somebody telling me this. I actually saw that. Somebody saying, somebody told me about this, and it's found in the book of Revelation. I think we should probably read that book. I think this is the last stretch that people are beginning to wake up. And there's even the merciful God who is allowing the last bit of people to finally see what's going on, and finally for it to finally click and say, hey, wait a minute, people have been telling me about this. Let me find this, because they've been telling me that this is Revelation. Let me find this. And there's going to be this last push, last contraction, last push before the baby's born, and we're out of here, and game is on. So, just be encouraged, everybody, and keep your eyes open. Don't go to sleep. Have discernment. Be discerning of even people in the grace community who, I hate even using that term, grace community, because that seems like a cult. People that claim to be believers, people even on YouTube, you have got to be so mindful of what you hear and watch. People who you hear and watch, because there's so many deceivers out there that are lying to you, and they aren't who they say they are. And they might say the right words, they might be eloquent and be saying the right things, and it sounds really good, but deep down inside, they are ravenous wolves, and they aren't of us. You know, Satan knows the Bible better than we do. He could quote the Bible in and out, backwards and forwards, and he is a ravenous wolf. So you need to be careful who you are listening to, watching, trusting, all of that. Just keep your eyes focused on the Lord. Keep your eyes focused on what his word says, his promises. Know that he never lies, that his word is 100% true. His prophecies are 100% true. They come to pass with 100% certainty. And we are at the end. And that's what you need to hold on to. And take your time, spend your time while we still have it, proclaiming the gospel, getting as many people to the cross and to meet Jesus as you possibly can. Plant the seeds. Let God be the water, the water of life. Let him do what he does best, and that is water. But I'm going to let you guys go, because that is going to be a back and forth. So I'm going to let you go. But I will talk to you next time.